packet, if you would sign those two as the official two, that would be perfect. I don't think we have any other official copies anywhere.
Are we done with your name here, Jamie, now?
I think.
Thank you.
I could make something up if you want.
Renew lease, Central Pennsylvania Workforce Development Corporation. Central Pennsylvania Workforce Development Corporation would like to exercise a renewal option in the lease for the Career Link located 225 Market Street. Effective period of this lease renewal is July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2016.
Only question I have, if Mike will have a chance to review that, what options do we have about utility cost? Can we, how's it, I don't know how the contract written, I don't know.
That's the only thing, if the utility goes up, that's what they pay all that. We can't get stuck with any of that. That's the only thing we go up. If the rent itself hasn't gone up, we try to get a 5-year out of them. They only want to do one at a time, and I think we should be happy to have 1 year at a time. You're taking some air conditioning things under control, I guess. There's some issue with that.
Oh, we're replacing them for $230,000.
Well, we are the landlords.
I understand who we are.
I hope.
Depends what the document says. My guess is, and I haven't looked at this document in a while, that they simply give notice of renewal, and that's our only right. Now, if we have some common area maintenance expenses that we could bill them for time goes by, I want to take a look at it for that new bill.
I don't think so. Like they said, we don't want to lose them. Okay. And the one thing, Terry had a notation about the utilities. I don't know how the contract is. They may be paying all the utilities. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. If that goes up, they're going to pick that. I'm not sure it was how many years they get to just keep renewing this. I'm sure that's in the
It's right
contract.
in the document,
Yeah.
so I can look at it when you're talking.
Right.
Well, I asked you that, and I thought we paid the utilities. I asked them.
Do we pay utilities?
That's right.
I think we do, there's an escalator clause for utility, but the utility costs have remained flat, so there's no, there will be no escalation in the rent due to utilities, and I think that's the only thing that we can increase it for this time around.
You know, on the other side, we're switching from electric heat to gas. We're putting gas in the building.
Right.
So the utility costs are going to come down. There's a savings there, because we don't get any of the savings. That's the sad part, but that's why the contract's written.
I thought there was something about the increase. If there was an increase, they had to be part of it.
Yeah, I think we do pay utilities because my understanding is that if there was an increase in utilities, we could increase the lease cost. But since there's no increase in utilities, we cannot increase the lease cost.
I knew there was a package that got raised.
So we will benefit from the new units because it will decrease our costs.
What do we have now?
Electric. There was heat pumps with the auxiliary. Heat pumps run basically to 30 degrees. Anything below that, the auxiliary heat came on. That was electric. Now, last year we spent like 12 grand electric third floor alone. Now with this gas, I would cut that. But it won't be any electric heat, it'll be all gas. So our cost will drop.
That has to help us.
What have we done about, did you talk to them on that yet, or what?
We're not bids, they're already putting it together.
Let's get back to this. I get a motion to accept the lease for another year.
I'll make that motion, but I was gonna, you got me. I read the lease, I asked Terry to email it to me, I've been reading it. We need to seriously look at this. I think they're paying like 50 square foot. The average market is 12. And what I'd like to know, are we breaking even, making money, or losing?
Look at it this way, Dale. If there was empty upstairs, it's about, correct me if I'm wrong, Don, maybe 85,000 rental income. Now, you think if the upstairs is empty, it's zero.
Well, I know that,
Okay.
I'm not disputing it, I was saying, are we making money or losing? Are we okay, John?
Yeah.
That cost of the 12,000, that was for all the electricity in that floor, including heat, air conditioning. So that was our base cost. So we're going.
Our cost to maintain that, probably somewhere around 20. We clean it and heat it and light it and so forth. Probably between 20 and 25, and the lease payments are almost 90,000. So it's a good deal for us.
We easily pick up mill taxes
Yeah.
to 60,000.
We remember the battle to get that.
Yes, we were bidding against, or competing against numerous entities who wanted that contract.
Good vote, I do.
No.
We
You
got
don't
it.
need a motion.
Dale make the motion, you second?
Second.
Shipman,
Yes.
Reichner,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Ister,
Yes.
Persing.
Yes. John, Chief Administrative Officer, Police Pension Board.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Police Pension Commission consists of 5 members, the mayor, director of accounts and finance, 2 police officers from active employment, and a 5th individual selected and voted on by a majority of those individuals make up the police commission. The mayor chairs that commission. The state now is requiring us to appoint a chief administrative officer. Governing body of the employer shall appoint the chief administrative officer and shall review at regular intervals the performance of the person to be the chief administrator and so forth. I would suggest that probably the appropriate person would be the mayor, since he's already the chairman of that commission. And so I make a motion that we appoint the mayor of the city of Sunbury as the chief administrative officer of the Pennsylvania Pension Commission.
Does he make up all shortfalls?
Absolutely.
I'll second
I
that.
think he's
I
a
deny
very
that.
responsible person.
Right.
Excuse me, is that not a conflict of interest, Councilman Shipman?
I have to defer that to our
To our solicitor? Please be honest with me.
I would always be honest with whoever I'm
Thank you.
talking to. And secondly, as far as the conflict goes, I don't see a conflict because they're going down the same railroad track at the same time to accomplish the same goals for not only the Police Pension Commission, but also for the city of Sunbury. And what's interesting about the arrangement is the mayor is already intimately involved with the commission. So this is just really another hat, and it's 2 hats at the same time.
But
It's
he
not a conflict.
hires the police officers that he is, I guess,
That's just another duty that the mayor has.
Regina,
Yes,
what
sir.
this gives us the opportunity to appoint a person who is not part of the commission to administer. And so if we had 250 police officers, we'd probably need to have that person, and they would probably be a paid person,
yes.
a person from, on staff. But since we only have a dozen police officers, and since the pension board handles all the business anyway, that was the thinking of just appointing the mayor since he's already the chair.
Thank
It's
you.
not really going to change anything, other than the state says you have to have somebody that in that position.
And also-
Everybody still has the same responsibilities.
The mayor don't hire, it takes 3 people on here to hire and fire, so you can't just hire an officer.
About the retirement board, we're not talking about-
Yeah, no, she said about the mayor's hire.
Right.
It takes 3 people to hire and fire.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second?
I thought we did.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's Reichner,
Yes.
Henry,
Yeah.
Ister, Persing,
Abstain.
Shipman.
Yes.
John, approval to pay invoices.
We have $131,618.32 in general fund expenses and $222 in liquid fuel expenses. I make the motion we pay our bills.
Henry,
Yes.
Ister, Persing,
Yes.
Shipman,
Yes.
Reichner.
Yes.
No tax exoneration today, John? John? Audience comment? I'm sorry, Megan, you'll be next, go ahead.
I understand this council has many important issues, and this issue that I bring before you tonight might seem not so important to you. However, it's important to the people of 12th Street. We have 2 properties in our street that are just horrendous. We have reported, and the neighbors are very upset. Mr. Reisner has pictures I wish the council would look on, and I ask you this: how would you like to have a barbecue in your backyard, entertain friends, and look at the mess that's on these pictures? I would appreciate if you could do something about it. The
The
one
address
lady,
is?
125, 127, and 115 North 12th. The lady has, right now, has the, her rent or permit,
Revoked.
yes. And I ask you to think it through. If you want to renew it, I beg you to think about it twice. Thank you so much.
There's no questions.
The other thing is there somebody living in the 125 side?
Well, that's not 125, but 127. But she has removed the notice you put in her door.
There's a rest of them.
But I don't, we're just so frustrated, and we want to keep our street nice as well as everybody else.
And
You beautify Sunbury, we can't just beautify sections. It seems like we come up against a brick wall every time we're trying to get this fixed up. I pity the neighbors in the one yard, I really do, the stench is horrible.
I'm not sure, but I think she sold the property to her son.
It doesn't matter.
On paper, I'm saying, but the son's the one we have to go at. Am I right?
It's a blighted property
Yeah.
regardless.
But
Who owns it.
regardless, you don't know, do we have his address or? But I'm almost positive I seen a transaction where that was done.
Well, I wonder if code even has a record of who's living there, because she has moved in, did she move, well,
They're different people.
all the time. It's a regular
All right.
traffic.
Is it on any list now? Is it on our,
We-
on
we-
the developer list or
We
just
were
go?
up, at least I told him after the last meeting, Joe was supposed to go up the day after, the next day. But we'll put the pressure on that we can do it.
Is this where the drug raid was? Yes.
Yes, it
You
is.
know, the one, that place is empty.
It's empty, but that's where a lot of the garbage and stuff is. It's been
Okay.
there since the drug raid.
But like, we still have a live occupant and a live owner, right? It's a
Yes.
live owner we can't go after.
Now, is the occupant the owner?
No.
And yet the rental permit's been revoked?
Well, there's the double home job.
Not revoked for both sides?
No,
Okay.
Sir, she may have sold it on paper, but she's still taking mail out of 127.
I'm not, technically or legally, we have to go
And
after
she's
the owner of the
still,
property.
and she's still responsible for 125, correct?
No. My understanding is she took the property over for $1 or whatever, a nominal fee to her son.
I think you would.
There should not be any understanding. There are records that you guys can look at.
Yeah,
You can verify that.
yeah, and I believe that's there is what I'm saying. We have to deal with the son.
And there should also be records of who's supposed to be living there. There's 2 small children, under the age of 7, probably, that should have been in school for the last 3 months. But they told our neighbors, my mommy doesn't send us to school because she can't speak English. So they ran the streets for the last 3 months.
And which side is that on?
127.
127.
They run the streets with no supervision, they stay home alone with no supervision. The
Did
door
she-
stands open and we smell trash coming across the street because the house is that horrible.
Did she move out? She supposedly moved out of town?
All due respect, I don't
She's
know.
okay.
After last meeting, I made it
We
over
saw
for
her,
Trish.
we saw her the day after it was reported last meeting. She came up, pulled about 3 weeds out of the front garden, got some stuff out of the mail, went through the mailbox, put some stuff back in the mailbox, got back in the car and left.
We'll get on top of it, we'll get a handle on it, one way or the other, but we just gotta find out. We'll just start citing the sun.
That's not gonna change it.
Well, there's pictures here of like high grass and weeds, and then there's a picture with no high grass in the back, so that means somebody cleaned that
I
up.
think
No, I
I
took it
different
from
sides.
pretty
Different
far
sides.
away.
Different angles.
Angles. Come up and look at it, you'll see.
If there was a deed transfer, all you have to do is go right to the courthouse.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I mean, the paperwork was filed, and it's there, but the son has it now. I don't know, I understand, somewhere along the line, she was moving, or had moved. But, we'll start citing it, but legally, that's all we can do.
She's a sly one.
Well, 115 owned by the same people?
No, how many times does a homeowner get cited before they get?
The only thing we could do is, if it is a rental property, is revoke
It's
the
not a
rental.
rental.
115
It's
is
a homeowner.
owner occupied, it's owner occupied.
I mean, can you let a refrigerator on the porch for 6 months?
Yes.
Can you let tires and garbage lay out? I mean, that's what I'm questioning, is we're trying to keep this neighborhood decent and it's just not working.
We appreciate that. If it's a home ownership, then we need to have the code office up there. That's where the fines are coming. We don't have to track anybody down. We know where they're at. I don't know if you find them yet or
Yeah, I
anything.
mean,
Take a look at 115.
if it goes, if it's there tomorrow and it's there, they'll be fine tomorrow. It's like-
It'll be there.
It's been there for the last 2 weeks or 6 months.
Rick,
Get that in your schedule.
let me ask a question. What is the regulations for people that move in and out of a rental? Like if there's initially a family that lives in a rental, going forward, how does that work when other people all of a sudden show up and start living at that home?
If it's relatives or family, I think it can be allowed, in and out, whatever. But every time if it's a rental property and you rent, say, well, just use, because we're talking. If you rent to somebody, they move out and you bring somebody in, you have 10 days to give us a new thing, or you can be cited for
But what if the people that initially lived there still live there? And two different people, families, let's say, since the initial
it.
one.
You mean they bring them in and live there in and out?
Correct.
I actually don't know what the situation is.
Well, you have to prove they live there, not just visiting for 2 months or something. That's the problem.
Well, over a
I
year.
don't know how you
Well,
do that.
they would be required to update that information within 10 days.
Well, there's two different sets of people,
Yeah.
well, three
Yeah.
different sets of people.
I respect the fact of the comments here, and, you know, we're doing our best. You know, we got a community that's relatively large. We have 4 people, 2 part-timers and 2 full-timers, trying to deal with this amongst the other jobs that we're trying to do. We are doing our best to try to control this through the city, you know. But what Ms. Brochus is talking about, we don't know. I mean, I don't sit at 123 ABC Street every day and control that property. You know, so I wouldn't know if that person has 15 people living there or not,
Oh, we never will know.
you know,
But
so.
if you're contacted.
I think there is,
We
however.
are contacted, we should make a move on it, you're absolutely right, and, you know, this might have fell through the crack, and I'm not sure, I wish I could give you an answer. I
Yeah,
did
the
not.
address?
And did you give us Edison Avenue?
844 Edison.
All right, John, you have something to
There was
say?
initial
What was it?
husband and wife,
844.
4 children, and then the next thing you know, there's a woman that moved in, and then months after that, there was another woman and a child that moved in.
Are they all living there at the same time, or?
Yes.
Okay.
They're all currently.
I'm fairly positive we do have an ordinance about unrelated people living in the same
I
property.
don't know what the
right?
situation is.
So if they're unrelated, that's one thing. If it's sisters and brothers and cousins, why, maybe a different situation. We'll have to look at it for you.
I don't know.
I know that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Regina Russell, community activist. There was a program, and I don't know if it's still going on, where the code office was going around and checking people's properties and getting old cars removed from the backyards and just people cleaning up their properties, period. Is that still going on?
Oh, yeah.
All right. I don't know, I have a couple of properties that have been really, I guess you call it blighted, I don't know, but they are not taken care of. And I didn't put the addresses down so that no one can come back and say, Regina, you're telling everybody's address. But South 4th and Spruce, Church and South 2nd, Penn and South 2nd, at that property, an RV and a trailer has been there, I guess, for 9 years. It's rusted, grass is high, it just doesn't look like anyone's maintaining the property unless the city is claiming that a property that they put.
Let's only say one thing right now. some of these things might be on a list of things that are being done about, so you're gonna have to give us an address at some point. Now, if you don't wanna do it in a public
It's
meeting.
right on the corner, sir, all you can do, when you, if you went to South Fourth Street and Spruce, if you have to be blind not to see that I'm complaining about how
The
that
point
property
is, they might
looks.
already be on a list and things are being done. That's all I'm saying, just make sure the code office gets the address.
That's wonderful, I
Thank you.
appreciate that, I'm just putting it on the record. Also, I have a question regarding the Celotex property. Has an independent contractor been hired who's not affiliated with the Moran companies to test the dirt on that property?
At this time, we have nothing to do with the Moran property. Everything that's going on with the, correct me if I'm wrong, anything going on with the Moran property is between Northumberland County and Moran. City of Sunbury has no involvement in that at all right now.
Okay,
So you'd have to ask them.
well, I'm asking you, I guess the council, because maybe I'm not reading the paper correctly. It seems like the city is making plans where they want to have the police department and the jail built on that property. So that would be the county commissioners I would go before and ask that question?
You're gonna ask that question about what's happening. If you have a question about Moran and the Celtech site, you have to go to the county commissioners.
I'm
The
just
city of Sunbury
saying,
has no
I
plans.
don't
The city
think
of
you
Sunbury.
listened to my question,
Yes, I
sir.
am. You made a statement that the city of Sunbury had a plan about things.
I asked a question, I didn't make a statement. I asked a question.
And what was that question?
Did you guys order an independent contractor to come and test the dirt?
And my
there?
answer was,
Because-
we did not, because we have nothing to do with that property.
And the city has no plans on putting the police department over there. Doesn't Moran Company still own that property?
Yes, the city doesn't, they do. The city
Okay.
has no plans. The city had a suggestion to the county that we could get involved and use a police department in a central area for cells and that type of thing. We just made a suggestion to them. Until they come back to us and get us involved in it, we're not involved in it.
And my second question would be, it always seems like plans are being made, but we never have a representative here from the planning commission. Does Sunbury have a planning commission?
Yes, ma'am.
How
We meet
do
when
they
they
get
meet.
involved in any of the plans?
They meet
How
when-
come they
when
never
they
come
meet.
and present anything to the
They
public?
meet on a monthly basis, I believe. I'm trying to find out for you.
I'm gonna tell you real quick.
Third Thursday of each month at 7 o'clock.
There's your answer. The third Thursday of every month.
If there's agenda items,
Okay.
if there's
So I guess
agenda,
there could be some months they don't meet.
that's correct.
So when the city is making plans and the council is voting on those plans, the planning commission doesn't have anything to do with that?
Yes, they go through. Go ahead.
Actually, they do. There is a process you have to follow, and I'm sure Mr. Afflebaum will be able to explain this a little bit further in depth than what I can. But every community in Pennsylvania follows the municipal planning code. When there are changes being made to city ordinances or law, they get reviewed by the governing body. Once their review is complete, it gets turned to the county and city planning commissions for their approvals. They come back with any recommendations back to the governing body for final approval.
So council never brings a business into the city without the planning commission being aware of it?
No,
That is correct.
that's not an accurate statement. The way it works, there's a municipalities planning code that Mike properly described. When we have ordinances that involve changes to the zoning code, then as a matter of course, the ordinance change is forwarded to the planning commission, and then the planning commission has a specified number of days to respond. If the city council doesn't hear positive, negative, or anything at all, the city council may proceed. But that's only with respect to the zoning changes in the city. So it's not any business coming to town, it's only for zoning.
So the businesses that come to town, they don't have to be approved by the city council?
No, all we're talking about with the planning commission is changes to the zoning ordinances.
And there has been many accounts in the past that was presented to council with the approvals, with comments from our city planning and county.
Yeah.
You should run for city council because you always have good answers. Thank you.
Regina, those two areas were you talking about, was it third or second and pen or third and pen?
I'm sorry?
The trailers?
I thought they were second in Penn. over there where they, that property over there where they always have the, what is it, not the circus, the carnival.
That's the fire company stuff, that's your carnival.
Those rusted trailers on
Now,
that
that black
property.
one that sits there, that's
It's not a
mine.
black one, they're both white.
No, but it's legally registered and it doesn't have to be, have inspected because,
I'll be happy to take a
That's
picture,
right.
I don't know for
That's
certain
right.
what you're talking about, but I know what I'm talking about, it's
yeah,
been
no,
there
the
for
big
years.
silver one and the other food stands,
These both look white.
yeah, they're the carnival, that belongs to the fire company. That's for the carnival.
Well, before I say yes, please, someone check it out.
Well, no, because I helped buy all of it, I know exactly what it is.
Across from the railroad track,
Yeah.
and they have residential property
There's a
across the
tight
street.
deal. Rick, that's all the number ones, it's the fire company stuff. The big silver trailer is where they store all their equipment in, and then the white one is the sausage trailer. The other two wooden stands are right now, they just didn't take them down yet. I don't know why.
If somebody's storing food or anything in there, that would be horrible.
No, there's no food, no, there's no food stored in there.
Then I would think that if anything, the equipment that would be stored in there would be molded.
No,
have
no,
mold
like our
falling
wooden
on it.
stands and all that stuff are stored. We tear the stands down, and then they're put in that trailer for storage.
Maybe it's not a trailer, but it looks like an RV. Okay, both of them are RVs. Let's say RVs and not trailers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
black
yeah,
fuel funnel cake
no,
trailer.
they don't have the truck, but
Yeah,
yes, you would
the
have.
blue and white one's
attach
the
it.
old funnel
It's
cake
not
trailer.
blue and white, they're white.
Well, one's white, the other one's blue and white. Okay.
Yeah, I don't wanna argue.
I don't know, I just wanted to make sure I had the right
that
location.
it be investigated, and I think that if it is on the list, it should be looked into and taken care of at this point. Thank you.
Audience comment, any other? Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, Megan, hand move up front, we were trying to ignore you again.
That's okay, I just wanted to come from that out quick. I just wanted to bring a couple of things to everyone's attention. Promotions Committee at SRI has been working on some publicity things. This year we have a rack card, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that term. It's similar to a brochure, but instead it's just a front and reverse kind of tall thing that fits in a brochure rack. We're giving those to the Susquehanna River Valley Visitors Bureau, and that has the events for the year, all of SRI's events and a couple of the city's events listed on that. And those have been being passed out. We're also obtaining new businesses and renewal businesses for the discount card we did last year. We're doing that again. Last year there were only 14 people participating, I think, but it was all exclusively restaurants, and now we're going to include retail and service businesses, and so far we're up to about 28 participating, businesses participating. And that deadline for that is, I think, July 10th. So if you know of any businesses that might like to get involved, we'd be glad to have them there. The Riverfront Planning Committee, they have the next concert on June 28th at 2 p.m. And the Renaissance Festival had a great weekend on Saturday. Thankfully, we did not get rained out, and lots of people attending. It was slightly down from last year, but we did change the date pretty dramatically. So, so we still think it was a really good turnout. Different vendors this year, different activities this year, and we would definitely way more organized. So on the organization end, we felt a lot that it went a lot smoother this year. River Festival is in the midst of its planning. They have all of their activities pretty full swing to be ready for the third weekend in August. That would be the 13th through the 15th. And the Albright Council, the tax credit program, they have about $12,000 in tax credits left right now for the current tax year. So if you know of any businesses, there is about a week left. So if they want to get involved and take advantage of the tax credits, have them call our office to learn a little bit more about it. Does anybody have any questions?
How does the first annual Lake Augusta Boat Parade work? What is that, like different categories, or how do they do that?
I'm not 100% certain on all the details yet. Bob would be the best person to talk to about that. They had talked about doing a theme in future years, but this year I don't believe there's a theme. They're just hoping everyone decorates their boats, and I believe there might be a contest for competition for best decorated boat. But in general, they're trying to get everyone to come out. And on the river, do you know more about this, Mike?
Yeah, the boat parade is new this year. It's going to be approximately around 5 miles, and it's going to start at the White Bridge, and it's going to come all the way down around, and it's going to come in front of the amphitheater area. It's the first year. There's going to be a trophy probably this year, the first year, and eventually it'll turn into a lighted parade. But it's going to be right after the cardboard boat regatta. It's gonna take that time frame from the cardboard boat regatta to the after hours, River Festival after hours, so it was nice, you know, so there's something actually to watch. And there's a committee, Bob Lagerman's leading the committee on this, and it's new this year, so and he's working with the social club. It's probably gonna be, I think they were thinking what they said, around 20 boats, yeah, around 20 boats so far, and that was as of our last meeting, so.
Well, it's just you pick a tough thing to follow. I think the boat regatta is the greatest thing we do. And it'd be nice to be able to take the boat, but then the ones that sink, you can't really march them on a parade. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much, Megan.
Thank you very much.
I had one question too, not for you, but I had one question too.
Yes, sir.
Joe Bartello.
Joe?
2 meetings ago, Dale asked a question of the solicitor about council people bidding on condemned properties at the auctions. Did you ever hear back from the solicitor on that topic?
You talking to me or supposed to?
Just to any of you,
Yeah, we got something for Michael.
because we never heard about it after that. You
I
were,
was advised not to comment on it, let the sale go through, and then we'll down the road deal with it.
I mean, what did the solicitor come back with as far as from the ethics commission? Was that,
Well, I don't think he actually got anything in writing from the ethics commission, did you?
No, that's accurate.
It was just his opinion, and
because what Mr. Kula said was accurate, is what you're saying?
I wasn't here to hear what he said, but I can clearly say what the answer is. And the answer is that where council members participate in decision-making with respect to a project, it's generally not the right step to take where council members buy things.
So generally means they're not allowed to.
Yeah. And I put it in writing, and I gave a half-inch report
another
to
thing was,
council.
And then, Dale, who advised you not to talk about it? Who advised you not
I'm
to?
still not safe.
By who? Who told you that? Who?
Attorney.
Your attorney? Okay.
Joe, and this everybody's aware, it didn't really affect me. Rick's son wanted to buy a property, that was at 144 South Street, so it wouldn't only involve me.
I think it also states in the third class city code about making contracts, being an official of the city and making contracts with the city. I'm not quite sure what that read anymore, Michael, but
Yeah, it's not complicated.
No, I knew that. I just wanted to hear what your answer was.
Yep,
That's-
that's it.
and it wasn't the buying of it, it was coming in, making a contract with the city, which could have been an ethics violation.
Well, the buying would be an ethics violation.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? I want to thank everybody for coming. I do want to announce that there was music in the park tomorrow night. Who is it? Who mailman? The singing mailman, the singing mailman. Don't know him well. Thank you for coming. Mike.